Good morning once again. It's your boy DJ Gentroos, your DJ. I'm here, your economics, your analyst. I'm here to share the news feeds or what's currently happening with the news, the current affairs, and then I'll quickly share how much multinationals make through phones, and the biggest leaders of phone manufacturing or phone production, how much they make a year or per annum. So firstly, I would just like to highlight North Korea has conducted engineering tests for targeting US mainland. They are conducting missile test. North Korea, they are currently conducting missile tests for US mainland and test. And then again, the markets in Asia has fallen, and Iran, due to the Iran conflict, the Asian market has fallen, and there's fears of recession. Recession basically means they will be they will the people will lose jobs, unemployment will be high, companies will shut down, companies will face liquidation, the cost of living will rise, and business will shut down in general, and governments won't be able to collect tax. Government will have to use reforms to relieve people who are probably unemployed or don't have means for work, and a chunk of population will be unemployed. So the recession, in terms of that, and the banks won't be making money, so no one will be making money in the economy, including business, including employees will lose their jobs, and government will have to step in, as there will be maybe tax reliefs or grants for the people to be able to survive the recession. That's on the outlook in the Asian market. Then the oil rise is still spreading around the world. Like I said, these few days that people need to focus on alternatives. Africa can be an alternative for oil supply, as the conflict might continue rising. However, there's some of the ports have been open, and there's an agreement that happened between Israel and the US regime. It's still in. We'll see how it goes and follows with time. And then the stocks again are low. If you look at Dow Jones, look at S&P 500, you look at Nasdaq futures 100. All those are finished the month of March low. Then we look at the quick recap of other markets, specifically the Asian markets. The Asian market, like the Japanese Nikkei, dropped for March with nearly 13%, which is 3.4%, bringing losses for March. That's high. Then South Korea Kospi was down by 30%, and while Chinese blue chips lost 0.2%. So the Asian market is really performing terribly, which is the Chinese market mostly, which is the economic powerhouse. And then with that being said, we will also look at the 10 global producers of smartphones. 10 global producers of smartphones, how much they make per annum, and what it means for them, or what it means for the global economy. So sitting at first place, look at Apple. Apple is leading with around market share of around 235 million. Then for Apple is the US company. Then it followed by the Chinese company, which is Samsung. Samsung is sitting at 226 million, which is not far from Apple. Apple is sitting at 235 million. Then it's Xiaomi. Is it Xiaomi? Correct me if you can. Which is sitting at number 3 with 146 million and market share. And then we look at the strong challengers. It's Oppo. Oppo is sitting at 103 million. Oppo, the phone Oppo is sitting on 4.3 million. Vivo is sitting at 90 million. And then we saw Honor sitting at 55 million. So meaning we see a trend here that Chinese not only have the top 10 car manufacturing, they also have big multinationals in the balance sheet of collecting tax. Same applies with the US. That's why they're powerhouse. So multinationals, big companies contribute in the shaping of economies. Then we see also emerging, and we see one of the phones that we thought it was out of the market, but it's still there. Motorola is still there with 448 million, and then with Realme is sitting at 42 million, and then Techno is one of those we wouldn't consider them big. However, it's also in the list. This is the top 10 list actually with 39 million. And then Hawaii closes off the list. So what we see a trend here is Chinese have a lot of phones, and remember I spoke of blue chip markets that has dropped by 2% for Chinese blue chips, and dropped by 2% in Chinese market. Blue chips also are used to also produce technological things, your phones, your laptops. So blue chips, when they drop, meaning the sales of these phones might drop. This affects those stocks of these companies. Hence, you see the Chinese market is the Asian market is a bit shaky compared to other markets. However, the global scale, as we look at things, we see there's fears results in investor confidence not being high. So investors are not willing to invest, and they don't know what to expect because of the uncertainty around the economy. You see consumer confidence, it's everyday people who buy everyday food, they hold back on the money. So when people don't exercise their economic power by buying things, or the economy shuts down, and there are no activities happening in the economy, that also can cause a recession, because there's fear in the market. And if the businesses like investors don't invest, if the consumers don't buy, people lose money, things become expensive with oil prices being high. And again, however, some countries have provided the oil petrol incentive. They try to cap because of most countries have oil reserves, especially the big countries have oil reserves. Your USA, your China, your Saudi Arabia, they have oil reserves. Your Venezuela, because they are big oil companies, so that their reserves helps them to plan ahead and make means. And again, as I spoke, this commodities are still trading very good, especially gold. Gold is performing well, because gold is a standard safe haven. Even before the early 80s, gold was the currency of the world. Gold is a commodity it's a store of value compared to other commodities. Paper money is fluid money. It depends on, it has to be backed by something. Whether it's, for instance, in Saudi, their money is backed by oil. In some countries, there's oil reserves, like the US, they have the oil reserve. Like the France, they have gold in their banks. So those currencies are backed by certain minerals, and which gold is a store of value. It doesn't depreciate. It does lose value a bit, but it doesn't depreciate, and it will always have value, unlike paper money or fiat money, which is it fluctuates, and it depends on consumer confidence, investor confidence, and sentiments, how people think, how people perceive the money and everything. And that's basically what I want to analyze today. I want to share with you and look at the global economy and the global scale. I'll be sharing more facts, and as we look and see what's happening, again I'll stress the power of social media when it comes to big corporates or big business, whether you're a small business or big digital business is becoming a legal war ground. So be careful with legalities, be censorship, GDPR. GDPR means someone's data has to be protected by all means necessary, because of you might face a lot of legalities, and they can take you out of business or liquidation, or they can close out your business. So you have to be careful with legalities around that. And we'll see current the developments, what happens. You see countries such as North Korea are planning, so we have to be on the lookout, on the watch out, especially with the Asian market and with the US market. Japan is a powerhouse also on their own. Japan is a powerhouse. We look at China, we look at North Korea. So the Asian, and now there's fear of recession, so they will fight back. They will try come up with solutions, and let's have a look out on those developments and see what it happens. If you wanna advise, if you wanna share something, if you wanna help me to touch on a certain topic, feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. I'm always there for consulting and everything. It's your boy Gentroos, the DJ, the best in the game, the best analyst, economist, Gentroos, the DJ. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day. I'm out.